thought it was just another case. A troubled little girl, 2 unfit parents, and a system that needed fixing. It was supposed to be simple. Temporary custody. Keep her safe, protect her. But in all her years of dealing with broken families, psychological trauma, and abuse, she had never encountered anything like this. Because Lilith wasn't afraid of her parents. She wasn't running from danger. She was the danger. And by the time Emily realized the truth, it was already too late. Emily Jenkins was exhausted. 3 cups of gas station coffee had done nothing to lift the fog behind her eyes. She had spent the past week juggling reports of child neglect, 2 emergency removals, and 1 near-fatal case of abuse. But this one, Case 39, had arrived with a peculiar urgency. At first glance, it read like all the others. A 10-year-old girl named Lilith Sullivan. Behavioral issues, withdrawal, missed school. Her teachers described her as polite but eerily quiet, almost as if she was always listening for something they couldn't hear. Her parents, Margaret and Edward, were reportedly cold and uncooperative. Caught Emily's attention wasn't the neglect. It was the anonymous tip that had accompanied the file. A voice, distorted and trembling, had left a message on the agency's emergency line. They're going to kill her. They're planning something tonight. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning. Emily drove through the pouring rain to the Sullivans' home. The neighborhood was quiet. Too quiet. Houses lined with dark windows, like eyes shut in fear. The Sullivan house looked normal, well-maintained even, but something about it felt wrong. Not visibly, intuitively. She knocked, no answer. Knocked again, then a sound, faint, like a muffled thud, then silence. Emily moved to the side window and peered in. That's when she saw it. 2 adults in the kitchen, the father struggling to restrain the girl, while the mother held what looked like a gas oven hose. Emily didn't wait. She called emergency services and broke the door in with a nearby lawn ornament. By the time she reached the kitchen, the mother was already trying to shove the hose down the girl's throat, while chanting something in a language Emily didn't understand. The police arrived minutes later. Margaret and Edward were arrested. Lilith was taken to the hospital and evaluated. No physical harm. No signs of trauma. Just one peculiar thing. She didn't cry. She didn't ask for her parents. She just sat there, quietly humming. The agency needed emergency placement. Emily offered to take Lilith temporarily, just until foster arrangements could be made. She had done this before. It wasn't unusual. But what was unusual was how relieved the parents looked when they found out she was taking the girl home. The first night was quiet, too quiet. Lilith asked for nothing, ate everything on her plate, brushed her teeth, washed her hands, said goodnight, and walked to the guest room like she had lived there forever. Emily felt unsettled. Children in trauma often cry, break down, regress. Lilith did none of those things. At 3:17 a.m., Emily woke up gasping. No noise. No dreams. Just a spike of dread like cold water thrown on her spine. She walked to the hallway and there stood Lilith, silent, staring at her door, smiling. "Do you want water?" Emily asked, her voice hoarse. Lilith just shook her head and turned to walk back to her room. That was the first night the dog barked, and the last night he ever did. The next morning, Emily found the dog dead in the laundry room. No wounds, no blood, just lying there, eyes wide, mouth open in a frozen scream. The vet said it was a stroke, but Emily had heard it howling hours earlier, full of strength, full of terror. Calls started coming in. People involved with Lilith's case began dying. The school counselor who recommended removal was found drowned in his bathtub, all the taps shut tight. The psychologist who diagnosed her parents with psychosis had a fatal allergic reaction. He'd never had allergies. Emily tried to talk to Lilith about her parents. The child tilted her head and asked, "Do you think they miss me?" Emily replied softly, "Maybe. Why do you ask?" Lilith's smile widened. "Because I still see them, in my dreams, screaming." Over the next few days, Emily tried to rationalize what she was feeling. The unease, the sleeplessness, the unshakable sense of being watched. Her friend said it was compassion fatigue, burnout. But deep down, Emily felt something wasn't human in her home. And it wasn't just paranoia. She installed a baby monitor in Lilith's room, hoping it would offer peace of mind. That night, at exactly 3:17 a.m., the monitor turned on by itself. Static. Then laughter. Not one voice, but many. Children. Whispering. Giggling. And then one word, spoken clearly. Liar. Emily ran to Lilith's room, but the child was asleep, perfectly still, her face serene. The doll at her side had its eyes open now, even though it had none the day before. Emily took the batteries out of the monitor. It kept playing. Terrified, Emily began digging into Lilith's past. The hospital where she was born had burned down 3 weeks after her delivery. No surviving records. No photos of her as an infant. Her parents had adopted her at the age of 3 from an unregistered agency that had since disappeared. Desperate for answers, Emily visited Edward Sullivan in jail. He looked pale. Not from sickness, from fear. She asked him, "Why did you try to kill her?" He leaned forward and whispered, "Because she's not a child. She wears a child. She mimics love. And she only needs one thing: attention." He told her the worst part wasn't the way Lilith stared at him while he slept, or how people around her died suddenly. It was the dreams. "She feeds in your sleep," he said. "She makes you relive your worst memories. She finds what you fear, and then she wears it." Emily left the jail shaken. When she returned home, she found Lilith in the garden, staring at a dead squirrel. "What happened?" Emily asked. Lilith smiled. "He wanted to fly. I just helped him." Emily's nightmares grew worse. One night, she dreamed of being trapped inside a furnace. Screaming voices echoed around her. She woke up gasping, with soot under her fingernails and burn marks on her wrists. She checked the furnace. Cold. Empty. She reached out to Doug, her closest friend in Child Protective Services. He agreed to help. "I'll talk to a specialist," he said. The next day, Doug was dead. Police said it was a murder-suicide. He had stabbed his wife 27 times and then slit his own throat. Emily broke. She confronted Lilith. "What did you do to him?" she demanded. Lilith calmly stirred her cereal and replied, "I just asked him if his wife loved him as much as he loved her." I think the answer scared him. Emily contacted a renowned child psychologist, Dr. Wayne, a man who had worked with trauma cases for decades. He interviewed Lilith once, then locked himself in his car and shot himself in the head. The gun was unregistered, and inside the car, his voice recorder was still running. He was talking to her. Emily listened to the tape. It began calmly. Standard questions. Then Lilith asked him, "What's your biggest regret?" He didn't answer. She whispered, "It's the girl, isn't it? The one you couldn't save. She's still burning." Then the tape cut off. To a single gunshot, Emily knew she couldn't protect anyone else. Not her friends, not herself. Lilith had to go. But how do you get rid of something that doesn't sleep, doesn't bleed, and seems to enjoy being chased? She called the hospital. "I need her admitted," she said. "She's dangerous." But when the intake specialist asked for details, Emily froze. She couldn't say why. What would she say? That her nightmares were real? That her colleagues were dying? There was no proof, only fear. That night, she packed a bag, wrote a note, drove Lilith to an abandoned cabin in the woods once used for youth therapy retreats. She wasn't going to hurt her. She just wanted to leave her, trap her, escape. Emily left her in the cabin with a single flashlight and a locked door. She drove off without looking back. But halfway down the road, the radio turned on. Static. Then Lilith's voice. "You forgot your phone." Emily slammed on the brakes. The radio went dead. Her hands shook on the wheel. She turned around, heart thundering. When she reached the cabin again, the flashlight inside flickered, but the room was empty. Lilith was gone, the door still locked from the outside. Emily ran through the trees, screaming Lilith's name. Her voice echoed, then a whisper beside her ear. "You came back." She turned. Lilith was behind her, eyes darker than the woods, smile empty of warmth. Emily begged, "What are you? Why me?" Lilith tilted her head. "You wanted to help children. You wanted to fix them. I just wanted to see what you'd break first. Your heart or your mind." Emily realized the truth. Lilith didn't cause destruction. She unleashed what was already hiding in people. She whispered. She watched. And when she was done, she moved on. The forest twisted around Emily like a maze. Every direction led to shadows. No matter how far she ran, Lilith always appeared ahead, humming, skipping, smiling. "You brought me here," she whispered. "Now I live in you." Emily fell to her knees. The woods echoed with laughter that wasn't human. The only escape was fire. Emily poured gasoline around the cabin, her hands trembling. Lilith stood inside, staring at her, unfazed. "Are you really going to kill a child, Emily?" But Emily no longer saw a child. She saw something ancient behind those eyes, something inhuman. With one match, the fire roared. Screams pierced the air, not from Lilith, but from within Emily's mind. All the voices she'd silenced to stay sane. She staggered away as the flames consumed the cabin. The last thing she saw through the smoke was Lilith smiling. Weeks passed. Emily was never charged. No remains were found. No one believed her. But she stopped dreaming. The whispers stopped. Her house felt normal again. Until one night, a knock at the door. The envelope had no return address. Inside, a drawing. A woman surrounded by fire. Beside her, a smiling little girl. and written in childish scrawl, "See you soon, Mommy." Evil doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it asks for help and smiles when you open the door. Emily tried to save one child, but what she let in was something far older than innocence and far hungrier. Lilith is still out there, and she's looking for someone new to rescue her. Maybe someone like you. If this story made your skin crawl, imagine what's next. Subscribe now for more terrifying tales you won't forget.